Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside AVL. My name is Jeff Aldrich and I'm here with my good friend Marcus Young. What's up, Marcus?
How's it going, man? Good to see you, Jeff.
Good. It's good to have you, man. Today I felt it was important that we kind of switch the roles here and talk about how music shapes people.
Yeah.
And why conversations matter, even to musicians, churches, creators, and listeners. And Marcus has elevated himself and is using his godly talents to bring forth a message for not just adults to listen to, but kids. So, Marcus, could you tell me about your upbringing quickly and how you got into music?
Yeah, so born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. So yeah, that's where everything started. Practically came out the womb in church, because as soon as I was born, church was happening. My uncle became the pastor of our family church, kind of expanded from there. But gospel music was the core. My mom had a case of gospel CDs, so that's all we ran and things like that. So that's how it started. I mean, of course, like if I want my dad, because they weren't married, they were apart. So if I did go, that's when I kind of had the hip hop secular realm. So it was almost like, oh, I'm hearing this sound. Then go back home and get back to the Fred Hammond, Kirk Franklin. But that was my first introduction to different things in music, and it just pinged to my ears. It was really just about, well, like traditionally anybody in music, the feeling, the beats, how they made you feel and stuff like that. And like the gospel more so I did ping to the words, because, you know, that's what we were learning to believe as far as being raised in church. So yeah, that was my first introduction coming up.
Over the last 4 years with the church I work with, I've really started to love gospel, man. It's like a new musical love for me. I grew up completely different. I remember my dad saying, hey, if you change what you're listening to, because I was listening to heavy metal, I'll buy you whatever you want. So he gave me Columbia House, and my first cassette tape was Clash Combat Rock. So I went from heavy metal to punk, basically. And then, my musical horizons blossomed with reggae and all different types of stuff. I'm kind of picky about country. Country's got to be a specific thing, I guess.
I know, I understand. Like, just the topic. It's the topic.
Yeah. The topic matters. The thing is that every one of those different genres has a different message.
Yeah.
And within those messages, they can vary, obviously. There could be even positive hardcore punk.
Yeah.
You know? Marcus, why do you think music connects us emotionally, unlike any other media?
Because the sound is twofold, the answer. Sound, one, already bridges the gap or connects us from the disconnect. Because if I was just to talk to you about the same thing I wrote in my lyrics, I'm saying it, but it might not necessarily get you to connect with me. It's kind of like, it does unify people. So if I have a sound that already kind of by like science and just us gets you involved, we can listen to one song that's a different genre, but like just like song placements in a movie and things like that, if it connects us with the emotion and feeling of what that person wrote, that sound is the first bridging gap to the words. So I believe once you create a sound that sonically pleases the ear, whether there's an opinion or a preference or option, once you've gotten somebody, or even people that know the doctor sound, the words follow. But half of the time, when nowadays too, people don't really do that. But emotionally, if you can get those right words with that sound, then now you've related to it or you connected to it, and you might see yourself in the music or something, even from the feeling you get. You might not even relate to the words, but it just makes you feel like you're a part of the song because it did something to you. Like sonically, it connected somewhere where you might feel that anger, that sadness, or whatever said emotion, that happiness.
So that sounds a lot like science and psychology kind of mixing together to make some type of music connection for people.
Yeah, because that's industry. Industry knows
Right.
what people like to hear. Now, I don't think that discredits a real powerful impact of sound, but there is something that has been repeated over time that says, oh, we like that bass line. You know what you're going to get when you get this type of bass line. Now we know that people like subs at 808. So now you got people cranking their cars with speakers because like, hey, we're going to get the music that gets them to blast this heavy bass in their cars and things. So now we've engineered production and beats. Now you have producers that genuinely just make beats that sound good, but in industry they're telling people that create now, hey, we need this to change to this because the people like this, like the statistics.
A lot of people don't understand is that what 128 BPM does.
Right. Yeah.
If you don't know, 128 BPM, psychologically, it makes the body start to move. Yeah. And if it's below that, it could still move, of course, but psychologically, your brain starts to move at 128 beats per minute.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Why do people often underestimate music's influence, do you think?
They don't want, I know this might, it might sound weird, they don't want to accept the truth of what they might have to turn away from. If they realize one song that they like, they have to deny themselves of that. Because there was music I used to listen to. Like, for example, like I used to really, like there was an era where Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Big Sean, J. Cole, like Wale, when all these conscious, like heavy beat artists were in this pocket where they were rising up. And this was a big time where record labels were making sub labels within their label. So you saw this team unity of artists and like who's the best, like rise up. But I remember I used to run like Kendrick Lamar's Mad City album when I was in a place where I kind of had like, I was dealing with heavy emotions, going through transition. So like some anger, a little bit of depression, things like that. And I related to that album because it almost related to my story coming up as a child and things like that, or things I learned about myself. And the only reason why I was able to accept that album, which is crazy, there was Christian tones in the album, a prayer of receiving Jesus, but you have a song called Backseat Freestyle that he's just derogatorily like cussing through the hook. But I'm reciting it though, because it feels good. And you had to, so now I'm like in hype. But even as I'm repeating it, I remember why I like the beat, but those lyrics did not edify anything. A lot of that chorus edified ego, arrogance, like a certain type of king-like dominance in the earth just based on something. But in the album, you get the grandma praying, telling him that these things aren't good. Like, hey, you need to receive Jesus. But now after you just put Jesus in the album, you're telling us about how you're about to do something to a female or how you're drinking or etc., right? So when we get to something like that, I had to deny myself of hearing that later on. Like as I got back to my healthy space, like healing, like, hey, that song, but even naturally, if I played that song right now, I just can't connect. Like I can't connect because I don't feel that way anymore, or whatever emotion that was attaching to that sound and those words, I'm just not in that place anymore. So even if I put it on right now, like, it's not going to damage me none, but I'm also not going to be able to feel it the same way. That's me personally. But some people can go back and they get lost in things like that because there was something there. So to belittle how it influenced you or impacts you, just sometimes, I wouldn't say everybody feels this way, or they might not think this deep about it, but you might not just want to let go of some of that music that helps you through that times, or you might still be feeling like that to connect to it. So it would be hard to release something that's almost like medicating or easing the pain or even helping you sort through life. And that song kind of separates you from things going on.
Another thing people don't realize too is that the first thing they hear from a song isn't normally the lyrics.
Yeah.
I would say psychologically you hear the beat first.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, if the beat attracts you and then, 5, 6, 7 times after you listen to it, you start going, okay, this is what this song is saying. But they already got you at the hook. They already got you at the beat, and we're like, but I like the beat. But then there's a lot of songs or bands that I used to listen to when I was in high school that I can't listen to anymore.
Right. Yeah.
It's just the message isn't where my head is at anymore.
Yeah.
And I believe music shapes trends, languages, attitudes, and identity. One thing I do see as a trend, and it's always trending upward, is that there's always some type of new music coming out. Music's constantly, I see it as a recycling bin, and it takes one influence and then you have 2 or 3 influences that intermingle together to make what you're at now. And I see Christian hip hop in that position to do that.
Yeah.
And that's why I felt it was important to get you on the podcast, is because that is the new hip hop in my eyes.
Yeah.
And it's positive. The role of an artist, how does that play in culture?
Music is an easier president to receive. Like artists, they're the easiest mayor to receive, senator, president.
They got it in commercials.
Yeah. They
got the little jingle.
Yeah, we're the best political faces without you having to worry about if we're changing your laws. So with music, that's why when you look at campaigns and stuff, they're going to use music because you need an influencer, somebody that can lead the people without it being a liability or casualty. Now we might look at campaigns and stuff and be like, well, why did you agree with that side? But that's the best way I can say it. We can help shape or influence with our voices in that sound the direction somebody goes, because we inspire kids and we inspire people to believe we're something either we are or we're not. Social media puts on a mask. So either they're going to meet the same person that has been presented online, or you're going to meet that person again and we're going to come off that stage and you're going to still see the same person you believe is writing that song. Some artists don't write their own music. Some people don't have anything to do with their music. So when it's time,
Michael Jackson didn't write most of his stuff.
Right. So it's like if when you got to have an encounter with that person, if they really can't tell you how they connected with the story, then now you're not connected with them. Like, it's kind of like don't meet your heroes kind of thing. But you do have artists that are genuine and true. And when you get to the nitty gritty of asking them about their music, they can come off and they can meet you, and then like it might impact where you're going or where you're not. It's kind of like if somebody came in like, hey, how did you make it? I remember your story saying you didn't have this money and you were on your last leg. Your car only had like one wheel and you were still driving it to the studio when they signed you for your first deal. Be like, oh no, like I was driving like a BMW. I just needed an oil change. And then they just offered me this deal. Like, wait, no, I thought the thing that was inspiring you was like, wait, what? Like, no, who told you that? That's for the tabloids. Now you might or might not continue walking with that. So just to have that small amount of like influence just because of what you presented to the world can really shift somebody's like direction if they're looking at you as the thing that motivates them or your story inspired them. Even though you do music, it's really your story.
I have a question for you. Do you still listen to the radio?
No, I actually don't.
I don't either. Yeah. I can't remember the last time I listened to the radio. The reason I mention that is because that used to be the influence on, or the way that you would find out what new music was. Yeah. Before the internet, obviously, even with the internet. But how do you think the influence of social media has portrayed on music? Has it become stronger or weaker in the streaming area? Streaming era.
Social media is radio now. A lot of stuff I listen to is from TikTok, actually. Like, so I don't listen to like the songs that traditionally are trendy. Like, for example, I might go on there and find a whole huge worship moment that's about, depending on what the clip is, 60 seconds or like 3 minutes. Like, producers are on there creating like loops and synth lines that I might just rerun or something, or a worship moment. Like, I've been stuck on What a God recently. So I might find worship leaders now just singing that line like, you are my everything. And I'm stuck right there. I don't got to go listen to the regular track because it's giving me a fast track to the moment or the thing I connected with. So I feel like now that we got visuals, everybody wants to see something. MTV music videos were a big thing. Like when you were mentioning Michael Jackson, I woke up Saturday mornings or like before I went to school and you got music videos playing for the songs. So now it's like social media has captured the marketing method of connecting people to sound, because now you got something to look at while you're listening. So radio doesn't give you that. So even though you can listen, like I think they captured this isolated method that like just gets you in a pocket of you're getting that gratification of hearing sound of music.
I mean, even Spotify has little video loops that you can add to your music too.
Yeah. Move in motion, like the GIFs. So now like something is stimulating the visual while you got it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think younger audiences are especially impressionable when it comes to music?
Mind is developing. You're trying to discover curiosity. And like it kind of like, even when we had the last podcast with Gavin, I think it's the biggest thing because you're trying to discover who you are. Like I know we were talking before about identity. Like you can find yourself in sound because you might not know how to articulate your story or how you're feeling. Going back to artists influencing people and their emotions, we can literally tell your story for you if you relate to us. Like sometimes we're like, you don't know, like a kid definitely doesn't like know, they know things, but in the realm of their age. So they really can't sit there and be like, I got angry and I can connect why this made me angry. Sometimes they're just angry and be like, I don't know why I'm so mad, but let there be a song that helps you sort through that anger. That artist might tell your whole emotion and you'd be like, man, it spoke to me. I feel seen. Like that's the word now. Like I feel seen. And kids are now able to identify with that because they don't have the words for those songs. Like, or I'm sorry, the words for themselves, but the song has the words for them,
I'll open up some vulnerability. There was a time in the late, I'd say around 2017 or so, and this was before I was saved. I started listening to the Suicide Boys, and what attracted me was the beat, but the influence was highly negative, to the point where like I was like, should I commit suicide?
Yeah, right.
And I of course, didn't. But, I feel like they're somewhat responsible bringing that to the platform. Like,
Yeah.
And now I question, like, why would you do this? Like, what is your motive behind having something like that? I can understand, in like punk rock, a lot of it isn't about unity. It's about anger or government corruption, so those all types of influences bring I don't know what I'm trying to say.
To follow your point though, if you have the name matters too. Hey, we're Suicide Boys. Like it connects with the branding and then the message. Yeah. Like, no, you're right. Suicide Boys. We're going to talk about suicide now. As a young listener, that was Hey, and then you have a cult, like that word is touchy for some people, but just a culture, a cult like following of people that say, hey, the Suicide Boys reflect suicide, and I felt this way. I relate to it. I might commit to doing this because my artist says that it's okay to feel this way. Like, you know what I'm saying? They just co-sign something that people didn't advocate for that I feel. Because the world says don't do this, but and we know we don't agree, but the world says do not commit suicide. But I have an artist saying you're okay here, you're safe here, and then you just
it's cool, man.
It's cool, man. We feel this way.
It's cool.
So now you're VIP or an exclusive group of people that get to say, hey, nobody understands us, but Suicide Boys does. It's like, no, that's not where we're trying to go, guys.
What do you think separates Christian hip hop from mainstream hip hop?
You're asking me such a question because
I know the answer. I just want to hear from you.
Yeah, like what does separate it, right? That's what I'm fledged with, because some of the Christian hip hop artists we see today actually are inspired to sound like the world, but it's going to come down to the artists themselves and the message. Feel like their voice has to speak louder than their music, actually. So even though they're making this music that make people feel good, and it's relieving us of the weight of secular music. When we have Christian hip hop, the sound is getting us away from having to go back to something that still edifies us. But the artist has more work to do in the Christian realm, I believe. Like in the Christian aspect, Christian space, you have more work because you just can't let it sustain through your sound and putting Jesus or Holy Spirit. Or I just dropped a magazine, unloaded a clip on the devil, these witty things that make us still feel like gangsters, but we're Christians, still feel like we're hard, but we're Christian, you know what I'm saying? And we got these beats. I do feel like there's a responsibility for us as artists, I'll include myself because I'm here as well, to make sure that we're re-emphasizing why it's labeled Christian. Like, hey, if we're going to say we're Christian, and if we were inspired by sounds, which I think is fair, I don't think sound should be demonized, or even some artists that are secular should be demonized, because everybody does not have a negative message. I just do believe we have a greater responsibility as influencers and teachers, that if we're writing and singing about a God or a Christ that loves us, that it shouldn't only be marketing. There should be some form of artist discipleship, not like biblical discipleship or putting them in a pastor seat, but it's like, hey, this is why I do what I do, or you see that there's integrity outside of this sound, rather than the marketing part that says, hey, look, we made it to Coachella, or hey, look, we made it to the Grammys. Hey, look what Christian did. Look. You know what I mean? Because necessarily we don't go and change the space because we put the music there. Because that space is set up to stay secular. So we technically can't do anything to change the space. We can have an impact to people within the space, but we can't change the platform, because Grammys might not give the whole stage to Christian, or it might, I can't say. But our goal for the people watching is to make sure we do our part to do the extra work to let them know why we make that music, so they can understand our message.
The interesting thing is those that came in and just tried to monopolize, or not monopolize, but make money on Christianity. Yeah. Snoop Dogg, Kanye. Yeah. They're all put out these great messages, but then they just reverted back to what they were doing before. Yeah. And honest and vulnerability in songwriting is something big. How are your songs written?
So when I pray too, a beat can inspire me. So I do go to God. I try to make sure that I have to always protect myself from doing what's expected in industry. Because there are songs we can make that are kind of, if you know music, that you can kind of doctor for people to catch on to. Like there are just a method of songs that if you learn it, like if you're just learning how songs are orchestrated to get the people involved, I can really water down the message to just do something that sounds good, catchy, and people catch on, and it's a good TikTok dance. But I had a prayer when I was a kid that just was like, hey, I need songs that minister to me. Because when we were mentioning Kanye and things like that, there were artists, and I was pretty multiversal. So I love country, love rock. Like I love.
What's your favorite rock band?
My favorite rock band?
Yeah.
Well, I could say Metallica and Battery.
Metallica.
Yeah, Metallica and Battery. That was like staple. And then I don't know if they're considered rock, but Journey, Don't Stop Believing kind of thing. But
That's like classic rock.
Yeah. Because they're not like really, you know what I mean? Like heavy metal. So.
I would say Metallica is definitely heavy metal. I was into them too.
Yeah. So Metallica, like Enter the Sandman type thing, stuff like that. But country, like music, R&B was definitely heavy for me. Gospel, R&B, rap kind of came later. But to answer that question, I feel like, how's the best way to phrase it? I would say that with all of that music, or can you restate the question again? Because I was about to drift on.
It was like, how do you write your songs?
Right.
But let me help you out a little bit. Like, what is, I mean, I already know what your influence is, but yeah, how do you orchestrate a song?
Right.
And you start it out, well, sometimes it starts with a beat, but then lyrically, how do you get your message in there?
Right. So message. So you have influences that can be doctored in for that method with all that stuff, but to narrow it down to what the people need. So if I do what's TikTok catchy, I can look at what I'm doing now and say, hey, I hear this beat. How does this make me feel? And the prayer I had when I was a kid was, God, I need songs that minister to me. So when I was speaking of genres, before I got excited about talking about music, the thing about it was these songs were speaking messages to me that didn't actually satisfy me. So I was hearing these songs and it came close to what I was feeling, but it wasn't enough. And I always imagine myself singing the version of the song I would like to hear or the words that would speak to me. So that actually carries to now. So when I get in the studio, if there is a beat and I'm hearing an emotion evoked, or if I can start freestyling, like if a beat gets me to freestyle, then the song's already done. Like that song is probably getting recorded in like 20 minutes, probably 15, honestly, because I record myself. But if I get a beat that makes me respond, or if I start singing something instantly, the song's done. But there's sometimes I get in and there's a beat that I like and it might take a little bit deeper meditation, or it might just take a little bit of prayer, or I'm just working through. But normally those aren't the songs that make it. So I would say, one, the sound has to evoke an emotion out of me. If I can't kind of imagine myself crying or laughing or feeling good or dancing or even having words, or that hum, that little tune like comes to me, it's probably not going to be the one recorded that day, because I might start a song, but it might not get finished. But the ones that kind of make the cut now, or that method of writing is definitely sound, because I'm a dancer too. So I can say what helps me write is the fact that musically or musicality something connects, like on a dancer end, but it's just translated as a singer or rapper. So whatever make a dancer respond in a freestyle sense connects with my writing method. I'm praying about, once I actually start writing, I start praying about what should come next. So it's not like I'm saying the Holy Spirit is giving me the words, but just give me the direction of the song's context. And when I get there and I get in that lane, I'll start thinking about the intentionality of connecting words. So if I had a hook, like when I'm talking about smile, right? Like I feel good, I feel great. That song is my Return of the Mac song, pretty much. So smile is Return of the Mac for me, because Return of the Mac actually is lyrics. Is not positive, like is not like, happy. It's actually like you lied to me, but it feel good beat. So smile, when I was writing smile, it's like, oh, this is the ultimate forgiveness song. So when I started writing it, I was like, hey, actually no, like they say like you prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemies, but we got to pray for our enemies. So I'm like, you know what? There's so much forgiveness and joy in my heart. Everybody's welcome. No matter what has been done, no matter what has happened, you're welcome here. So I'm like, come get a plate. So now that's how my writing process might happen. I might start connecting something, a story, an experience, put it to paper, and then metaphorically, I'm like, how can you get scripture without me being a cliche Christian artist where it's like, hey, the Bible says this, but I can, if you were to ask me, I can connect that line to scripture with it having like a cool twist. So it kind of motivates my writing because I love metaphor and analogy, and then I kind of get there. So there's like a mixture, but that's kind of like the step by step, and then it flows from there.
So what I love about your music is the honesty and vulnerability in the songwriting.
Yeah.
It makes it a more impact on the listener, and it's a good influence. There is no bad influence in music when it comes to Marcus Young. What advice?
I appreciate
What's that? Oh yeah,
No, I just appreciate it. It's good to hear the feedback because I hope the impact is,
Yeah. What is your advice for young artists?
I wouldn't have told myself this, but I think it's a lesson I wish I had. It's okay to make mistakes with the music. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I have like, if we're talking to artists specifically, like, I think we seeking perfection because what's presented online is perfection. What makes you go viral is being vulnerable, right? But even the vulnerable moments look clean. So like a mistake online is not really a real mistake. It's like a doctored up mistake that goes viral. So don't look at artists and be motivated by a cleaned up mistake or failure that makes them look good to get to success. Like, it's okay for you to make a bad song. It's okay for you to not get it right or like not do this perfect beat. Like, and it's okay to ask for good help, trusted help. Cause like, if we just be real, there are some people that actually do not want to see success. It's hard for people to hear that. But if they hear you using your gifts, sometimes they're like, hey, that's too wild. That's too far. You should do it this way. And some people will literally, as an artist, people will vicariously live through your life to be the artist they desire to be that they don't step out to be. So sometimes people will give feedback to young kids and say, hey, you shouldn't do that. But creativity comes from doing something innovative. So just try the idea. Just try the idea. Don't get boxed into what we see today and model yourself to what people are telling you to be like with other artists, because you might have people that were listening to, like, let's just say Marvin Gaye, like Bobby Brown, Michael Jackson, anybody older, Whitney Houston, like Brandy, all these other artists coming up, and everybody has their timeline of what they believe good music was. So what if you as a young artist are creating the new sound for this next wave and this next generation? Don't be scared to test that out and try that. Because if you go back and try to recreate another sound, you might be inspired by it. We got samples, so it's okay. But try everything and then doctor it up later. Like, then clean it up later because you played around with everything.
If somebody today realizes that the music shapes their lives more than they thought, what would you want them to remember?
If the music shaped their lives more than they thought?
If somebody listening today realizes music has been shaping their life more than they thought, what would you want them to remember? So they listen to this podcast and they're like, you know what Marcus and Jeff are making complete sense. What would you want them to remember from this conversation?
Me personally, yeah, I would say let God shape your sound. We were watching a video talking about,
what if they're not Christian?
Yeah, I was gonna do both. Do both. So if you're Christian, and thank you, because we do need to clarify for people too, though. Let God shape your sound. If you're in Christian space, let God shape your sound. Because if you're saying you're doing it for the glory and kingdom of God, it's really going to be a gospel message at the end of the day. So God needs to shape that if you're going to cap it with that, and your creativity will flourish through that. God does honor your heart's desire, so He's not going to have you. God does not control you or force your will. So He'll let you be free to be you because He created you to be you. So there shouldn't be an issue with the things that you put into your gospel message, because as long as it's within the confines of that. Now, if we're talking to just regular like music or anything, which is just as good, just depending on your message, hey, you need to look at yourself and actually say, is this me? Is this me? Because if you see somebody else and it's inspiring a sound that you never wanted to make, but it makes you, like, you see that everybody, or you comparison, coveting somebody else's sound because it does good for them. If your agenda or motive is to gain something outside of who you were created to be or the sound you're supposed to make, you might need to reevaluate the sounds you want to make. So if you had to go and be exactly like Kanye, if you had to go and be exactly like NBA Youngboy, for the female artists, if you got to go and be exactly like Ice Spice or like Meg Thee Stallion or Cardi B, all these artists, then you might need to go back and be like, hey, my music might be sounding too much like somebody else's identity and musical fingerprint. What is actually my sound? What does my voice do? What are the words I want to write? So
Right,
yeah.
and music isn't your identity, but I will say that if you stop and just look back for a second and look at the environment that you're in, it almost dictates the type of music that you're listening
Right.
to. Right? So if you're in a bad environment, you're probably listening to badly influenced, the music that's influenced you is probably bad.
Yeah.
Marcus, now it's time for a plug for your new album, and can you tell us about that?
All right, so we have the new album Still Breathing coming out, as well as the concert Still Breathing. So yeah,
July 25th?
Yeah, July 25th, Murray Hill Theater. So it's gonna be big. We're gonna have musicians, dancers, singers, like a full production. It's cinema, hip hop orchestra, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, so I just want there to be an experience where youth or people can be inspired. But the album, I can say it in so many words. It's the reason why I do music, honestly. Like, I think this is the first time where I found a sound that gets the best out of me musically as an artist. It gets the best out of me, and I get to capture the things that raised me from that CD disc photo album and my experiences with my father and family and different things to say, hey, this actually finally tells Marcus's real story about how I feel today and I was younger as well. Because I've been transparent, but I think I haven't told the story of where I'm at now. Like, the smile is a great mask for things, but we can deal with real things as Christians. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily depressed, but life can get hard. So why would I keep going if things say, or things in life say, hey, don't? But that's not God's intent or purpose for my life. So Still Breathing, when I have songs like Smile, Getting My Joy Back, Forgiving People That Hurt Me. When I have songs like Joy, like you'll hear on there, like I say, the world can't give it, the world can't take it away. It's a cliche line we hear in Christian, but I really mean it, because it's saying, hey, no matter what goes on, your joy can't be taken. I got a song called Drowning. Drowning is literally, hey, I feel like the world is consuming me and I'm floating. I'm breathing underwater, but I should not be rising above this water. Like, that's probably hard for somebody to look at me and be like, Marcus has a song called Drowning, but it's a real place. But I make sure the message doesn't convey that I'm staying there. So Still Breathing is literally like, hey, I have breath even. And then it's a call back to God too. Like, Still Breathing is saying I did not choose to quit. And I would say those songs embody a call out to relationship with God. That's what sustained the breath. That what sustained the life. So it's literally saying, hey, when I wanted to give up, when I wanted to quit, when I felt like there was no reason to keep the life and music, actually, just music and purpose and who I was created to be, that, hey, I called on God to keep me afloat, to keep me above water, to keep breath in my lungs, to keep going, the life of artistry and creativity going.
So for those out there that keep on hitting replay and listening to the song over and over, I will tell you that repetition shapes thinking and behavior.
Yeah.
And artists have more of an influence on you than you think they have. And whether they intend to or not, they're shaping your thought process. Yeah. Great music can be both meaningful and culturally relevant. Marcus, thanks for being on the show, man.
Thank you, Jim.
I really appreciate your time.
No, appreciate
and
you.
Hey, if you like this episode, please subscribe, share, and comment down below.
Yeah.
Thanks. Peace out.